Am I
Awesome.
supposed to see
So
the prep agent front page on my computer? Just
sure,
checking.
that's
Okay.
that's a screen that I'm sharing right now.
Okay.
Um, and what I like to do first is I like to get to know you a little bit,
Okay.
and get to know what's going on with your studies, the good, the bad, the indifferent. Okay. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what's going on and also what you're trying to get out of today's session. So that's something that's always very important to me because I want to make sure that if there's something that's really important to you, like you're like, oh, I really want to make sure that I get to know, freehold estates a little better. Then we get to go over that. So why don't you talk to me a little bit about what's happening and what's going on?
Okay. Well, I just finished the associate broker program school here in Denver, Colorado, and so I'm just now tying a bow on all the areas that that's not considered a very good strength of mine, and I'm really nervous to take the test because one of the areas is, you probably heard a lot, and it's math.
Okay.
So I've let's see. So there's a lot of areas that I guess I just get either blocked, but once I figure out the equation and how I'm dissecting a word problem and can practice it, like, consider it golden. I am good to go. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted your tutoring today, was specifically for that reason.
Yeah, sure. So here's what I'm going to tell you with math, okay? And what is the unique challenges with math? Because math has its own uniqueness to it, okay? And one of those unique things about math is that, um, bottom line is, I'm fighting, 12 plus years of foundational knowledge that you have, in regards to how you're going to approach a math problem. Okay. So that's always, a great challenge. It's always a big challenge whenever trying to resolve, anyone's troubles that they might have with when it comes to math. So that's something that I always say, is probably the biggest issue that's different from all the other things in regards to the areas of study that you might be, focusing on. Like joint tenancy, hey, that's brand spanking new to you. You don't know what that is, The likelihood of you saying, oh man, I definitely know what joint tenancy is much less likely than if I sat here and said, hey, how do you do this math problem? Because you probably have a idea of sorts on how to do this math problem, or you'd have a way that you're like, yeah, no, I would tackle it this way. So what happens is this, it turns into a situation where it's, like I said, a little more challenging to to get through the math. But that's something that I want you to understand that, is the challenge for a lot of my students. So you're not alone in that when when I say, hey, this is a big challenge right now for, a lot of my students is, getting that math down like that. So what I will tell you is this, grab a calculator if you don't mind.
Oh, I'm
And
good
what
to
we're going
go.
to do is we're going to jump into the math. But again, what I always say is, hey, if it is not clicking for you, don't worry about it. Like, don't get frustrated because it's something that math is special. So let
Yeah.
me go to my math
And can I just
questions
add that,
and
can I just add that I printed out, and I don't know if we have time to go through any of this, but I all the questions uh, that I got wrong and I continue to get wrong, and I shouldn't say continue, just the ones I've gotten wrong. I thought I would go and cut and paste them on a Word document so that I could practice them. So I just thought, maybe we could just go over like a, loan to value and simple interest or whatever we have time for.
so here's the thing. Let me tell you this. Why don't we go over those first
Okay.
and then tackle the math? Because at least we could get those out of the way, and then we'll go tackle the math. You know, I think
Okay.
that's the best way to possibly, you know, attack this, especially if you have questions that you know, that you're like, hey, you know, I'm not sure what this is and what that is. So,
Okay.
yeah, so I would definitely say let's do that. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, because I know that the teacher keeps saying this is gonna come up on stage, and I'm like, ugh, freeze.
Sure.
So so I guess two challenges. One is I just want to be able to, and I think I just want to have your coaching to make sure that I have some of this down. I want to make sure that I can read the question. I can recognize whether it's a loan to value or simple interest or a commission. Commission's pretty easy, but at least recognizing it. You know, that first, and then dissecting the numbers is the second. So
Are we talking about math, or are we talking about?
yeah, the math problems, yes.
Okay, the math problems, yeah. And here's the thing: that's the hardest thing. Like when we go into the math, the first thing that I always tell people is identify what the heck they're asking you.
Okay.
Like that's literally, honestly, like step one. Because if you can't identify that, then you might as well not even show up to the test in regards to the math. Because bottom line is, if you can't identify what it is that they're asking you, then it's a four-sided coin. Flip it. You know, that's
Yeah.
literally what it comes down to with the math. So it's really about identifying what it is that they're asking you. But also this, I'll tell you, the math isn't as hard as you probably think it might be. Okay, the math isn't as hard as you think it might be. So that's why, and you would know exactly what they're asking you once you know, once you have an idea as to what the question's asking. That's the hardest part. That's the hardest part, is figuring out what they're asking.
Okay.
You know, once you have that, you should have a clearer idea as to how to get there. You know.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm up for the challenge.
So let me ask you this: what questions do you have that you wrote down?
Okay. Well, there's a few that I'm just kind of going through them. So why don't I just put one out there and see if, you know, just put it out there. One of them is, oh, gosh. The seller received net proceeds of $246,500 from the sale of her property. The seller's closing costs were $4,500, and she paid a 6% commission to her broker. What did the property sell for?
Well, that's an easy one. That's super easy. Because once you know the process, and here's what we're going to do. We're going to go over the, I'll show you on here. So we're just going to break it down into a couple of things. You ready?
I'm ready.
So the net was 246.5, right? Now, what is let's see, the next one was 4,500 in closing costs.
Yes.
4,500 closing costs. Okay. Now, the next thing was that she paid
6% commission.
6% commission. Now, knowing all of this, here's what I'm going to do. First thing that we're going to do, because we're just going to get you used to hearing, seeing what the question that I'm going to ask you. You're going to hear this ad nauseum, okay? And this is like, you need to hear this in your head.
Okay.
And the question is, what is it that they're asking you? So tell me, based on this information, what is it that they're asking you?
What the property sold for.
Okay. So what would your first step be in this problem?
Well, initially I was taking 246.5 and adding the 4,500, but I keep getting that wrong. And then taking the 6% commission from there.
Well, no. Well, so here's the thing. So listen. Remember, and you have to follow me on this. You ready?
Okay.
And this is what you have to stick with me with.
Okay.
I said, what's our first step?
Okay.
Right? So and here's the thing, do this in steps, okay? Because if you do this where you're just going, okay, so then we're going to go this and then we're going to go that. No. We're going to do it in steps because
you figured
and
me
there's
out
a
already.
reason to.
Okay.
What was that?
I said, well, you figured me out already.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Listen, I'm going to tell you a little secret, a little dirty secret about real estate and when it comes to the test and the students and the people that I get. I've been doing this for 12 years. What's really funny is that you're all very similar to one another. You're not very dissimilar. So like the things that are going to be, pain points for you are going to be pain points for other students, are going to be pain points for, other people. So what happens is this, you're going to run into a situation where you're always going to have just a litany of things that you're like, okay, here's the things that I could probably put money on it that you're doing wrong. And one of the things is always, when it comes to math, people love to do two things. They love to multiply numbers together, and then they love to do 4 steps in one. Okay? So knock that out of your head and just say, I'm only going to do one step at a time. So here's the thing, this first portion, because then you'll never know you'll never know where you went wrong if you're doing like a multitude of problems. Like if you're just doing like equation after equation after equation, then you're never going to understand where your steps are, where you went wrong. So first thing you said, you added those 2 numbers together. So add them together and give me what that total is.
Okay. 246,500 plus 4,500. That's 251,000.
Now, here's what you're going to do, okay? And this is going to be part of your problem-solving efforts, okay? Part of your problem-solving efforts is that you're going to tell me, what is that number representative of? I'm not saying what is that number as far as like, that's 251,000. I totally get that. What I'm asking you is this. This is the net. You see how I wrote in here what each thing is? There's a reason why, because it helps you understand, and it helps you understand why you're getting to where you need to get to. So we have the net and we have the closing cost. So we add them together, and what is that representative of?
Well, it's representing the gross of the sales price.
Wow. This is where you're getting wrong, okay? Because here's the thing. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. Okay? Isn't the gross number what it's sold for?
Yes.
So is that what it's sold for?
That's what it's sold for.
Is it?
Well, no, the net is what it's sold for, but
No.
Oh gosh.
Follow me on this. So watch this. When I say gross and I say net, and here's the thing, that's why with what we're doing, I'm not helping you try to solve the problem. I'm trying to help you understand the why. So here's what it is. You ready?
Okay.
The net is what you're left with after you take everything out.
Ew.
Okay. The gross, right? The gross is what you started with. So here's the thing. What you're looking at is the whole entire thing backwards. So your starting point is the furthest from what it's sold for.
Okay.
Okay. So the seller net is what they're taking away. That's what they're walking away with in their pocket. Okay. So when they walk away from the closing table, that's what they're getting. Now, what happens is this. We're adding the closing costs to it because we're trying to reverse engineer this. We're trying to kind of rewind the clock so that we can get to the starting number. Okay. So when we add those 2 numbers together, what we have, and here's where the disconnect is, and everyone has this disconnect.
Okay.
What you have is 94% of the whole.
Oh, so I start with a 6% commission. 100% minus 6 is 94. Is that it?
Because here's what happens. Watch this. I'm going to paint this for you a different way. So you ready?
Okay.
So what we're going to do is now you're going to divide 251,000 by 0.06. So do that.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's 4,183,333.
Your arithmetic is wrong. Actually, I told you the wrong thing. I told you to divide it by 9.94%.
Oh, I see.
Yes, my bad.
That's okay.
I have my moments too.
All right. So 267,021. And that's what I keep getting.
257,021?
Yes, 021.27.
Okay. So, that is the answer.
Oh my gosh.
But let me show you. I'm going to show you something. You ready?
Uh-huh.
I'm going to show you something. That is, so watch this. That's what it's sold for. And I'm going to show you a different way to do this.
Okay.
That will make sense, okay? So if I wanted to reverse engineer this, what I would do is this. I would, from that number, watch this.
Okay.
I would take out 6%, because there was a 6% commission, right?
Okay.
Then I would take out the 4,500 closing costs.
Okay.
And you would end up with that number.
Got it.
So what happens is this. You could have done a couple of things to get here, okay, depending on how you're comfortable with it. Whenever there's a seller net problem, okay, what you have to realize is that you're working with the smallest, you are not working with 100%, right? Because 100% is what it's sold for. That's the highest number, okay? So what you're working with is a smaller percentage than 100%. So what happens is this. You have to basically build up your number to get to the 100%, okay? So what happens is this. You could also, because some people feel more comfortable doing this, they feel more comfortable going to each of the answers, taking 6% out, right? Taking 6% out, and then subtracting 4,500 and seeing what gives them 246,500. It's a longer way to do it, but sometimes some of my students say, I don't understand how you got the 94%, right?
Okay. I do.
So,
I understand now. And that's the step I keep.
Yeah, do you see how, do you see how when I reverse engineer it and I kind of go through it this way, that you see kind of, and that's why it's important.
2 steps.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is why it's important to go step by step, because and also say to yourself, so what is this number representative of? Okay, because here's the thing with what you're seeing here. Okay, it's the bottom line is that you were just going a little too fast, and again, you made the common mistake that everyone makes because they have a hard time understanding that number is representative of 94% of the whole.
Yep. I got it.
Yep.
Okay. So, all right. Got that.
Tell me another one. Tell me another one.
Okay, I'm checking that one off. All right, I'm going to give you, I think it's an IRV. I keep getting this wrong because there's 2 rates. So the question is, a property is worth $120,000, assuming a rate of
9% cap rate.
What is the property worth, assuming a rate of 11%?
Okay, that's easy. That's easy one. Oh, I love that one.
Okay.
So,
make me love it.
Sure. Well, here's the thing. It's kind of like so I come from an Italian family, and this past week my mother finally decided that she would learn how to make my grandmother's sauce. And the first day she hated it, and then all of a sudden she was like, "Oh, I kind of like it." And part of the reason why she started to kind of like it was she understood the process, you know. And the process is the biggest issue that people have. So let's talk about this.
Okay.
So we have $120,000 valuation, and we're gonna do that. Okay.
Write it down too.
And now we have, and that was based off of a 9% cap rate. Okay.
Yep.
A 9% cap rate. Okay. Then what happens is they're saying to you, hey, we just want to change the cap rate. So let's put that there. We want to change the cap rate. They're like, what is going to be the value if we change it to an 11% cap rate? Right? So watch this.
Okay.
What you have to understand is how to work, and you just said the equation a little while ago. It's ERV, right? The income over the rate times the value. So let me ask you this. So in any equation, whenever you have a situation like this where they say to you, hey, here's the first scenario. Now, on the second scenario, we just want to change one thing. Well, what you need to do is this. And I always say, the way that I always remember ERV is, I always say, my Uncle Irv wears a cap. Okay? Uncle Irv wears a cap. All right? Now, that being said, it's income over rate times value. And you always have, so here's the thing. If you had all of those, you wouldn't have to do math, right? Because if you had income rate and value, you would just go, ta-da, here.
Yeah.
Right? So what happens is you always have two, okay? Or at least in order to do the equations, you always have to have two. So tell me what you have here.
Okay. So I can go through the first part, 120,000 divided by 0.9. Oops, 09, sorry. 120,000.
Listen to what I'm going to tell you. That's a very important thing that you should learn between my Butterfinger and my Butterfinger mind. And just like you're saying it, you're going to do tip. Do your math 3 times on your calculator.
Okay.
The reason being is because there are times that if you go with your first, like the first thing that you go, doop, 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 it,
Yep.
you might have had one of those moments. So what you're doing is you're putting checks and balances in to check yourself, okay? Because the worst thing that can happen to you is that you know exactly how to do the equation, and you literally have a moment like that, you know? So that's literally the worst. Now, that being said,
okay.
so what is the number that you get
Okay, so
when you do all that?
that you got me nervous, so I put in the wrong area. So it's actually 120,000 times 0.9 is 10,800. That gave me the income. Sorry.
So what is it? So what is it now?
Okay. So 120,000.
So what is the income? So what is the income?
10,800. 10,800.
Do you see why I gave you that speech?
Yep, I see. Got it.
Yep. So that's income. Now, okay. Now you have a full equation there. So what do you know in the second part? What do you know in the second part?
Well, now I have the income. So do I just take that and make another IRV? Do I take that 10,800 divided by the 11?
Yeah, that's literally what you do.
I think. So that's 98,000 1818.
I would check it just a couple times just to make sure, just get used to doing that.
Okay. 182.
But
Oops, 90,181. Sorry, 181.8. So it's 98,182, which is one of the answers on here, which is the correct one, which I got getting wrong.
of course, it's the correct one. Of course, it's the correct one.
Okay.
So listen to what I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
It's again, the math isn't. Look, this isn't anything above a third grade level math. Okay, there's nothing here that's going to really get you to a point where you're going to sit there and go, oh my God, I have to do this kind of arithmetic? No. And here's the thing, this is a very common thing where an appraiser might use one cap rate, but then an investor might say, hey, what if we change the cap rate based off of what we know?
Mm-hmm.
That's a super real, a possibility. Like that happens more than you probably think,
Yeah.
So but let me ask you something. I think that the important thing is, does that make sense?
It does now, because I was stopping at the first. I was stopping at the first part, and I had the brain part. Sorry, to carry it over. I didn't know what number to carry over to give me the second part. I guess I didn't do the IRB on the second part.
Well, what happens is this. Like, do you see how when I write it out, it's it smacks you in the face, almost?
Yes.
It's.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, here's the thing. You didn't. I didn't add much to this as far as your understanding of this, right?
Yeah.
What we worked off of was a large portion of this. I'd say 95% of this was really you telling me, okay, let's do this. That's literally it. I mean, once you know it, it's not hard.
Yeah. Now it clicked. What is it that talking to you just makes things click? Beforehand, I was like, duh.
Well, because what happens is, and I'll tell you what it is. What usually happens is you move too fast to really, what happens is a lot of people, when they're tackling the math, it's way too fast. And what they do is they end up just getting to a point where, oh man, they're just stumbling over the fifth process. But what happens is they don't really understand what it is they even have.
Yeah.
So they're trying to solve a problem just by continuously multiplying and dividing, and they're just not stopping to say, okay, what is this number? Okay, what is that number? Okay, what is it going to give me? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So right. I think this is a gross rent multiplier question. I'll have you confirm that. And thank you for the second one, by the way. That was awesome.
No problem.
Okay. The question is, the effective gross income from an office building is $73,500, and the annual operating expenses total $52,300. If the owner
$52,300.
Yes. If the owner expects to receive an 11% return on his investment, what is the value of the property? Oh my gosh, lots to dissect for me. I know that.
Okay, so what do we have?
Okay, so we have 73.
So we have 73,500 is the gross.
Okay.
Okay. Then we have the expenses of 52,300. Okay, 52,300. Then we have an 11% return. So let me ask you this. What kind of question is this?
Is it a gross rent multiplier question? Is it
What was that?
sorry. I'm glad you said that. Is it operating expenses? Is it, I'm trying to find my net operating expenses? Or,
Well, what are you trying, what are they asking you for?
okay, the question, yeah. What is the value? So I need to find out the value of the property.
Okay, so it's value. Remember I said to you, I said, hey, first thing that we're going to do is identify what you're trying to figure out.
Okay.
So every math question, no matter, I don't care what the math question is,
Okay.
figure out what it is that they're asking you.
So it's basically the last
Okay.
question. Okay. For the last sentence. So what's the value? Okay.
So now what we're going to do is this. We're going to try to figure out what our first step is. Okay.
Okay.
So what do you think our first step is going to be?
Well, I'm going to take our gross income.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to deduct the operating expenses.
Okay, sure. That's I'll give you a gold star on that one. So go ahead and do that math and tell me what that gives you.
Okay. I'm also writing it out too, so I can see. Okay, 73,500
sure.
minus 52,300. That gives me 21,200.
21,200. Okay. And what is that? So remember I said we have to label all this stuff. So we just subtracted the gross income, and we subtracted the expenses out of it. So what number is that 21,200? What is that?
Is that my net operating expenses or income? Not net operating income.
Net income. Let's call it net income. Okay, because gross is the total. So what happens is net operating expenses would be called operating expenses, but income, we'll just call it income.
Okay.
So, but here's the thing. What I'll tell you is this. I think that if you said that to yourself on the test, look, no points off on that one. I think that you got the key word in there. Okay. So now, what do we have?
We have 21,200 in income.
Okay. What else do we have?
And we have 11% return.
Okay. So what are we going to do?
Divide by 11%.
Okay. What are we going to divide?
21,200 divided by 11%.
Okay. And what does that give you?
192,727.27.
And that's your answer.
Oh, Lord. Okay. I like the way you're writing this on little sticky notes kind of thing. I might have to do that. Now it's making sense the way you write it out on those little sticky notes.
Well, because what it is this. What we're doing is we're putting stop gaps in between your train of thought. Okay, we're putting stop gaps there. Where instead of, because what happened was, so if you go back to the first question that you were like, I don't know why I got it wrong, because I did this and then I did that, and like what my first thing was like, okay, what's your first step? And you didn't stop after that. So what the sticky notes is forcing you to do is to say, I did one thing. Now, okay, you have a number. What is that number? Okay. Now that you have that number, okay, what are you going to do with that? Because like, you see how it like tells the story itself? Once you know, okay, I'm looking for value. Like you can even then know, like, okay, I'm going to have to divide an income by a rate. Like, okay, so is it net or is it gross income? It's always net income if they give you expenses, okay? If they just tell you income, then just go with that number because you don't know expenses, right? So that's really, honestly, the hardest part about this whole thing.
That's it. Oh
like
my
the hardest. It's not. You see how I told you? I was like, this isn't hard math. You know, those tips and tricks. And here's the thing.
That helps.
Now that you have this foundation of like how to tackle that, it's that doesn't go anywhere. That doesn't, basically now you could literally look at any, like what's really funny is you'll be able to look at any cap rate problem, and no matter how they throw it at you, you'll be able to do it.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna believe you. But I think I know you're right, because now I can go and practice these.
Yeah, if you stop yourself in each one, because here's the thing, look, I by far am not a math whiz, okay? Like I'm not. Like, people like to say, oh man, you're so good at explaining this, or you're so good at math. I'm really not. I'm by far I'm not someone that did well in math, not that. So what happened was I had to almost overcompensate to get better at it. And one of the ways in which I overcompensated was by basically just, just basically slowing it down, slowing it down.
That's what I'm gonna have to do.
That's people's biggest problem. All right, what's the next next one that you had?
Good. I'm glad we're tackling these pretty quickly here. Well, I should say I'm glad I'm getting them pretty quickly. That means you're a great teacher.
Well, thank you. Well, look, that's what I hope. I mean, the goal is, the goal is to just get you to, like I said, learn the techniques, because it has nothing to do with the numbers, right? I could throw another cap rate problem at you, and I bet you that you could now solve that easily. Yeah. And here's the thing, I could start giving you some just random problems and seeing how you do, if you want to do that.
Yeah, that too. I just have one for you that I think that's messing me up, and then
sure, go ahead.
Okay. I think this is a valuation. Okay. If a residence is valued at $87,500 and its assessment ratio is 50% of market value, what are the annual taxes if the tax rate is $7.80 per hundred of assessed valuation?
Easy.
Okay.
It's so easy. Love that one. Okay, so let's write down what we have. Okay. Let me write down what we have. So we have a value of 87,500. Right?
Okay.
So we have a value of 87,500. Then what we have is this. We have, it's assessed at 50% to value. Okay. Then we said the taxes are taxed at $7.80 per 100 of assessed value. Okay. So what are they asking you for?
They want to know my assessed value. What taxes are going to charge me on my houses, my annual taxes. They want to know what my annual taxes.
Okay, so they want to know the taxes.
Yeah, the annual tax.
So we're going to treat this the same that we have every other question.
Okay.
What is our first step?
Well, our first step is, okay, we recognize the numbers. So first step is I want to take my the value, 87,500.
Okay.
Times 50%.
Okay. Go ahead and do that and tell me what the number is, and then tell me what that number is representative of.
Okay. 87,500 times 50 is okay, so 43,750. That's the market.
43,750. So what is that?
Oh, sorry. 43,750. That's the taxed market value.
What do we call that?
Assessed value.
Assessed value. Okay. Okay, cool. So now we have the assessed value. So now we have, so now what do we do? So we have the assessed value.
Well, now we need now we need the tax rate, which is the tax rate of $7.80 per hundred. That's where I get stuck. Do I do the decimal two places to the, or one place to the right?
So you're thinking of it too hard. You're thinking of it too hard. Thinking of it too hard.
Okay.
Too hard. Ready? There's two ways to do this. There's two ways to do this. Okay. Number one. Okay. Number one, what you could do is this. You could, so it says $7.80 per 100 of assessed value. Okay. How I like to treat per questions, okay, how I like to treat them is I like to treat the per as a division symbol. So whenever I see something per something, what I do is I just take 780 and I divide it by 100. Now, the other way to do this is to figure out how many 100s are in the assessed value. But again, I like to just treat a tax rate per 100 per 1,000. I just divide those two numbers.
Okay.
What's before the per gets divided by what's after the per. So go ahead and do that. Okay. And what that does is this, here's the thing. Do you remember how you were getting confused with how you move the decimal over?
Yes.
What this does is this. It creates, so remember I told you, I said you have little butterfingers and usually you're like, oh man, I don't know how to do this. If you just do it the way I'm telling you to do it and treat the per as a division symbol, it moves the decimal point for you. So watch, go ahead and do that. You don't have to.
My head again. So I'm going to take the 43,700. I did that. Okay, so $7.80 divided by 100 is 0.078.
Okay.
So then,
and now.
Yeah.
And now what do you do?
Then I'll take the 43,750 times, I think, yeah, 43,750 times 0.078 equals 3,412.50.
And that's the answer.
Oh my goodness.
How easy is that?
You just made it so simple for me because I kept thinking, now do I put it to the left or to the right? That decimal was really tripping me out. Because
for whatever reason, adults have a really hard time moving the decimal.
Well, that between that and mill rate, the mill rate as well.
Yeah. So a mill is 1,000 per mill. So if they say per mill, it's just per 1,000.
So I divide that per 1,000.
So what happens is treat per mill as per 1,000. So you just take 7. So if it was $7.80 per mill, that just means per 1,000.
Okay, cheese. Click, ding, 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 ding. Okay, yay.
So what you do is you just do a division symbol right between. So per is a division symbol.
Oh, that was another aha moment. Yep.
Yeah, per is a division symbol. So if you treat per as a division symbol, then what happens is it makes it so much easier because then you just have to figure out what the assessed value is. Boom. Then you're doing your division right over there. Because here's the thing, I can make it more complicated. We could divide by 100. We could divide the 43,750 by 100. So bottom line is this, you have two choices. Leave the 780 as it is and divide the other side by 100, or divide the 780 by 100. Personally, me, I just divide. I see the 780 per 100 and I just go divide.
Yeah, that is so good. That was awesome.
Because then it doesn't, you don't need to overcomplicate it.
Yeah, then I'm not thinking, is it to the right or is the decimal to the left? What did they say?
Stop moving decimals. Every real estate instructor, I teach and train real estate instructors how to teach math and how to teach this stuff. And I tell them, I say, stop telling your students how to move decimals. I said, because the average adult has not had to move a decimal in 30 years. I was like, so stop it.
Yeah.
I say to them, I say,
thank
stop
you for
telling
the permission.
them to move it because, Yes. So how easy is this?
Gosh, I love that. Just that you made the simplest little thing is, makes it easier. That was that's what I needed to hear. Because I was
That's the
getting
goal.
sick
Listen, that's the goal.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So look, this is why. So now you've officially done, like, pretty much. I mean, like, there's a couple other math questions that you could get on the test, but is there any other ones that you had questions on?
Okay, seller realize. Oh gosh, I got this one. It was a commission, and it was just a long, long question for me.
Let me give you. So you have it written down?
I do. I cut and paste
Okay.
all
Go
the
ahead. Give it.
Okay.
Let me just get my pen out so that I could write it down first. So let me just get my pen. Okay. Go ahead. Talk to me.
Okay, there's two more, but hopefully I have a chance for the second one. Okay, so a broker hires a sales associate with an agreement to split the commission between the broker, who gets 45%, the listing salesperson gets 30%, and the selling salesperson gets the balance. If the property sold for $90,000 and the broker share was $2,430, and the listing salesperson received $1,620, what was the selling sales associate's share? A lot of numbers there. And probably some of them I don't have.
So let's talk about this for a second. Okay. Do we know the selling price of the home, and do we know the commission? Because that wasn't two things that I heard.
The selling, what was the sales associate's share? So this is, they want to know what the selling sales associate's share was or is.
Run me through the question again, because I'm trying to, I want to just hear it again.
Okay, this is a commission split problem. A broker hires a sales associate. Let me back up. A broker hires sales associates with an agreement to split the commission between the broker, who gets 45%, the listing salesperson gets 30%, and the selling salesperson gets the balance. If the property sold for $90,000 and the broker share was $2,430, and the listing salesperson received $1,620, what was the selling sales associate's share?
Okay, so a lot of questions. So let's talk about what that final share was. So here's what we have. Here's what we know. You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
We know that the broker gets 45%. We also know that their 45% was $2,430.
Yep.
Right? Then we have, I'm going to show you, this is very similar to another question. Then we have the listing, okay, that got 30%. Okay, and that was $1,620.
Yep.
Okay. Now, we want to know what the remaining balance is. So, here's what I'm going to ask you. What are we looking for? So we're looking for what the selling salesperson made, because they make the balance. Okay. So, what is the first thing that you're going to do with this question? Like all these numbers you have together. There's a couple ways that you could tackle this as far as a first step. So what's your first step going to be?
This is I'm going to add 2,430 and 1,620.
Sure. So let's add those together.
2,430 plus 1,620. That's 4,050.
So what was that number?
4,050, 4050.
4,050. And what is that?
That is, well, that is commission between the listing broker or the broker and the listing salesperson.
Okay.
That's
Now,
the commission split.
my question to you is this. So that is what that is. And what happens is this. We're talking about a gross and a net. I want to show you something because you learned some skills before.
Okay.
Let's go back to our first question. You remember this one?
Yep.
What do you have? You tell me what you think the next step is going to be.
Okay. 45% plus 30, maybe 75%. That first 75%.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying that this is 75% of the whole. Okay.
Cool.
So what we're trying to figure out is this. So what's the next step?
See, I get the first two steps really well. Okay, selling salesperson. So it has to be a dividend. Let's see. Okay, let me figure this out. Okay.
You're right there. You're right there. If you use the skills that you learned in the first question, you are right there. So that's why I don't want to give you any help with this one because again, we've sussed out these these questions.
Do I need to the 90,000 divided by 450?
90,000?
Well, that's this property sold. Does 90,000 even come into this equation?
Might not.
I know, that's where I'm stuck. Okay, so this is where I get stuck. The first two steps. Okay, so do I take the 75,000? Whoa, wait. Okay, 4550 divided by 75%.
Okay, so
I mean,
what would that give you?
4,050 divided by 75. Oh, that's 54.
Okay, but what is that? Listen, let's stop each thing.
Oh.
What is that?
That's what the selling associate gets. That's 20. Oh, wait a minute. I think I had a brain. 75%. So that 75% is 100% is 100% commission, right? So if I take 75%, then that leaves 25% for the salesperson. Is that right?
So here's the thing. Overthinking it. You ready?
I am.
So what do you get? What do you get when you divide 4,050 by 75? What is that?
I was on the right track. Okay, divided by 75. That is 5,400.
And what is that representative of?
That is the 5,400. I'd say is the total commission.
Okay, so if that's the total commission, and you have what the broker and listing salesperson made, and you're looking for what the selling salesperson made, what do you think you're going to do with that final number?
So I'm going to take 5,400 minus 4,050, and that leaves 1,350.
Yep.
Now, how did I just
answer.
get? I don't know. Let's see. Okay. Yep. Okay. I do.
That's it.
Okay. That makes sense.
So here's the thing. The skill set you learned in the first problem, learning that skill set isn't just isolated to that one question. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay.
You know, it will help you because here's the thing. You were sitting here trying to, and do you see how you started to get further and further away from the answer when you started to go faster and faster? Do you see that?
And then I was looking at 90,000. That's what tripping me to do.
Well, what happened was this. What you want to do is this. You want to stop yourself and say, what do I have? Like, do you see how, like, every single time you kept getting further away, I kept saying, okay, well, what do you have here? Okay, what do you have? When you divide 4050 by 75, what is it you get?
Yeah.
If you're identifying and labeling the things each time that you go through, what happens is it eventually smacks you in the face.
Yeah.
Like, it eventually gets to a point where it smacks you in the face.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does, and this one smacked me a little bit. I got a little slap there.
So what happens is, I mean, this is a great example of, like I said, I mean, personally, I think that you have a lot of, I don't think that there's anything that's stopping you from being successful at the math portion of this, you know? And with the questions that you gave me, I don't think that there's anything here that you can't do, and you can't do with ease. It's just you have to understand the pitfalls that you're going to fall into.
Yeah.
Like this one, your biggest pitfall was, okay, like, slow it down. Like, do you see how it just, like, you can hear it in your voice. You were just like,
Oh, yeah.
and I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man. I was like, we're
There she goes.
we're getting to a point where we're getting further from it. And you see how I kind of, like, centered you? I was like, hey,
Yep.
what do we have? And when you finally sat there and said, okay, we have this, and it was, I'll tell you, the light bulb moment, and this is why I want you to keep saying what it is you have. The light bulb moment was when you said it. You said 4,050 divided by 75%, that gives me the total commission. Like, that gives me the commission. And I was like, okay, so now what do you do with that? And it was like, it just, and do you see how, here's the thing, I'm not adding, when I'm talking you through it like that,
Yeah.
what's really interesting, and what you have to understand about yourself, is that I'm not adding any knowledge that you do not have. All I'm doing is saying, basically, I'm a really complex Teddy Ruxpin, where I'm basically just sitting there going, okay, so what do you do next? So what do you do with that information? And literally, you just, when you say it out loud and you identify and label each one, that's when you actually sit there and go, oh, that's what I have. That's it.
Yeah. Because I wanted to go, well, the whole number of 100% is, 75%, and then she gets 25%, and and oh my gosh, I started going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. What happens is, if you let yourself go when it comes to these, you can just go down this crazy rabbit hole where you're just like, oh my gosh, and then there's this, and then there's that, and then there's this, and then there's that. And I'm like, no, it just let it be. Let it be.
Well, I think what I'm going to start doing is, I like a couple things I'm getting from you just from today's session is that believe it or not, the little sticky notes help. So I'm going to start drawing these numbers out in a sticky note, and then the per is a division symbol. That was
per is a division symbol. Yep, 100%. 100%. The per is a division symbol, so always treat it as such. So always treat it as that, and just, it's easier than you think. So let's go to that. Let's see if we could fit in that other one. Let's fit that other one in. Why not? I'm in a math mood. So talk to me. What's that last one?
Well, I think this is a lease problem.
Okay.
Make sure I kind of got a broad spectrum here of what I've been challenged with. So, okay, a lease provides that the tenant pays $760 rent per month plus 4% of gross sales in excess, throws me off, of $150,000 per year. If the tenant paid a total rent of $20,520 last year, What was the gross sales volume?
Oh, perfect. Excellent. So that's easy. $750 per month.
760, 760.
60 per month, right?
Uh-huh.
And then we said they
4%.
also pay 4%, okay, of
Gross sales.
anything over 150,000.
Yep.
Okay, and then we said the annual rent was $20,520. And what's our first step? So I don't want me to write down that that's annual rent. So what are they looking for? Because remember I always said, hey, let's identify what it is that they're looking for. So what are they looking for?
They're looking for the gross sales volume.
Gross sales volume. Okay. So this one's going to be a little tricky because there's a couple tricky things to this. So let's do this. What do you think? And again, we want to identify what our first step is. So what's our first step?
So I'm going to take the tenant pays $760 a month.
And what are you going to do with it?
Well, no, I think because this is a year, do I multiply that times 12 so I can get the yearly?
Okay, so why don't you do that and tell me what you get?
Okay, 760 times 12 is 9,000. 9,120.
Okay, and that's the annual flat fee
month.
rent.
Yeah, the annual month.
Okay, so the annual flat fee rent. So what are you going to do with that information?
Okay, so the next one is, I'm writing your sticky notes out to see if I can figure this out with you here. 4% over 150,000.
Don't touch that yet.
Okay.
It's not something you want to touch.
Okay.
There's something easier. There's something more apparent.
Okay. The annual rent. Okay, there it is. The annual rent is $20,520.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let me give you a hint. You ready? Because you haven't done this yet.
Okay.
Why don't you back out? Because here's the thing: the rent is the rent. So that 20,520 consists of two numbers. Okay, consists of two numbers. Let's back out the number we know. Okay, because we know the 760 per month in an annual, as represented in an annual numerical number. So why don't we back it out? Back out the 9,112.
Okay.
So subtract from 20,520 the 9,112.
Minus 9,120. 11,400.
So now let me ask you this: 11,400 we said?
Yes, 11,400.
So now let me ask you this question: What is that number?
So that is so that's what the tenant paid last year.
Well, so what the tenant paid last year so here's the thing. The rent consists of two components. What is the 20,520 consist of?
Well, that's the unknown. If the tenant paid a total rent of 20,520.
Well, that's the known. So here's the thing. It's not an unknown. That's the number we're working with. Yeah.
Okay.
So it says if the tenant paid means they paid. Like that's the number we're working on.
What I'm stuck on is the 4% over 150. Well, how do I know it's over 150?
you're taking, you see what, you're getting caught up because you're going 5, 6 steps ahead of me.
I see myself doing that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're saying I'm getting tripped up with that. Well, here's the thing: you don't have the information yet to touch that.
Okay.
So the annual rent is consisting of 2 components: the $760 per month and this $11,400. So what I'm asking you is this: what is that $11,400?
Is 11,400 on here?
That's what you told me was 20,520 subtracting 9,112.
Oh, sorry, I
So
didn't
that's
write
what
that
you
down.
told me that is.
Okay, that's why I didn't write that down. Okay. 90, 91, 20. Okay, so that number represents 20,520 minus 9120, 11,400. Oh, 11,400. That represents.
So what is the 11,400?
That's the total rent the tenant paid.
Well, okay. Listen to what I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
Isn't this the total rent they paid?
Oh. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And you said the rent consists of 2 components: $760 per month and 4% over 150,000. This right here is the 760 represented in an annual number. We subtracted that from that. So now what are we left with? I'll give you a hint.
The 4% over 150.
So the 4%, okay, the 4%, so there's a number, an unknown number that was multiplied by 0.04, okay, and that equals 11,400. So if you divide 11,400 by 4%, you're going to get that number, but you're not done.
That gives me 285,000.
Now, that was, so the 285,000, you're not done. Because remember the 4% was whatever was over 150?
So
you have to add 150 to that.
I'm going to add 150 to that.
Right, because it's 4% over 150.
So that's 300,000.
Yeah, that's the gross sales.
Okay, 300,000, and then I'm going to take 4% from that, right?
No.
Oh, see.
Why are you doing that? They want the gross sales volume.
Okay.
So if you divide 4%, if you divide 11,400 by 4%, then you add that number to 150, that is your answer.
Oh, okay, got it. Yep. That's 300,000.
That's the answer. You see?
Yep, I'm going to have to practice that one. There's a lot of little steps in there.
A lot of little steps. But what happens is, here's the thing, what helps is labeling and identifying each one. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because once you label and identify, it makes it easier for you to understand what it is that you're trying to do. So, that being said, do you have any other questions for me?
Well, on this question I keep getting wrong, 300,000 isn't even an option on here. It's 285.
So then they're asking for what the gross sales were over the 150. So then they're just asking for that.
Yeah, what were the gross sales volume?
Because here's the thing, then there's something that's worded incorrectly if they're saying it's 4% over 150.
Yeah,
because what happens is the first 150 then isn't counted. You see what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So whatever the 4% is of is after it hits 150. So what happens is if asking you for what the gross is, then you would have to include the 150.
Yep. This one is.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I do. I see that. I see that. Because the 285,000 is an option on here, which is option B.
Yeah, so then there's something that is not worded properly, because again, that is because in theory, if it's, then that's whatever the amount is. So if it said what is the gross sales volume above the 150, then that would be the answer. But if they're asking for the gross sales volume, because so what happens is they're really asking for a net sales volume over 150.
Yeah,
so it's worded wonky.
Yeah, it is because it says a lease provides the tenant pays $760 minimum per month plus 4% of gross sales in excess of 150 per year. So if the tenant paid a total of rent of $20,520, what was the gross sales volume? So your answer was correct. No wonder I keep getting it wrong, because on here that's 285. Okay.
So
I'm calling.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Did this help you out?
This helped me out so much. Thank you so much. So much.
You're quite welcome. And here's what I'm going to do. I have one question to ask you, because I think that this is I think this was a session that a lot of people could learn things from. So I'm going to ask you this. Would you feel comfortable if I actually highlighted this on my YouTube channel so that other people could see what we do in the private lessons and could potentially get some use out of this?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. So, so I am going to put this up there because, again, I think that you gave me some questions that were really great, and I did want to share them with others if there are people that have other things up there. So, yeah, like I said, thank you so much for that.
Yeah,
and
this is great way I can help. You've helped me so much.
Look, I'm glad. If you need any help, just let me know. I'm always around, okay?
Thank you so much, Stu. I appreciate it, and happy Friday.
Thanks. We'll talk soon. Have a great one.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.